Everybody, welcome. Better on Draft Podcast, episode 251. My name is Ken. We are here with Modern Times Beer. I appreciate you guys taking the time out of your day to join us. I know it is a little bit early out in California. It's almost like we're talking about this for a second time, but I am drinking Caliban, which is a hazy India IPA. I am not a big fan of hazy Indian IPAs in the first place. Hazy will get me as close as I can to IPAs themselves. But one of our guests, Phillip, is a representative of Modern Times. Why don't you tell us what you do and a little bit about this beer real quick, and then we'll bring in your cohort.
My bud, my friend. There's so much I could say about Andrew. I would just like to give some good shout outs to him.
I think we should just talk about each other for a while.
Let me get an introduction for Andrew Schwartz, who came here from Syracuse, I believe, out of San Diego, back here in 2014. He actually came to kind of run our production program, and he has since helped build our barrel aged stouts into being a powerhouse in the industry, as well as helping work with our team of brewers to kind of come up with recipes at all of our locations. He is an angel. He has the hair of an angel. He has the smile of an angel, and I appreciate him in my life all the time.
Now, Andrew, when it's time for your quarterly or yearly review with your boss, what I'm going to do is I'm going to clip that for you, and then you can just play and be like, you know what, I think it's time for a raise.
Look, can we not talk about year-end reviews? Because I just had mine, and I don't want to talk. I don't want to hear about that. I don't want to hear that in the same sentence right now.
We'll catch up with your year-end review during the King of the Hill. Andrew, talk to us about Caliban. What is it? Why am I drinking it? Why do I like it? I mean, it's not bad at all. So for an IPA, not bad is a good category.
I'm sorry you got a broken palate. But I think that if you're enjoying that beer, then I think it says something about the quality of what we were trying to go for with that product. First, let me just say a little something about our main man, Phil here. He brings that classic razzle dazzle. He brings the pizzazz. He brings the je ne sais quoi to what our beer is, and he has always been a face of Modern Times and will be.
Thank you.
I don't know what else to say, but I will say that his execution on this newest product, Caliban, is truly incredible. It's a part of a kind of a seasonal rotating hazy IPA series. We do a lot of different products, a lot of different beers, and this one is available in Michigan and in California and everywhere we distribute. So Caliban is a Nelson Simcoe crystal focused IPA. So we use Nelson, that's a New Zealand hop. Really, really nice notes of it's typically like the Sauvignon Blanc white wine. That's what you're kind of getting with Nelson. So we actually, not this last year, but previous years, we go down to New Zealand. We actually hand select this Nelson from a small farm that we work with. And no joke, it's one of the coolest experiences to go to New Zealand and do that selection. But we're able to select over a year of hops. We picked that. We're looking for lychee, kind of gooseberry, really, really tropical notes, mandarin, things like that. And then we're combining that with Simcoe, which is a classic Pacific Northwest grown American hop, and then it's on a hazy base, only 6.9%, low bitterness. And I think that's part of the reason, Ken, why it's not like other IPAs. I mean, this really is supposed to be very drinkable with a really balanced but light bitterness. And it's the fruit is supposed to pop in this beer. It's not supposed to be bitter or kind of overpowering to your palate.
Yeah, that's one thing that I really am getting is it's not overpowering, which is dangerous because I'm crushing it, and at 7%, that's not something that I want to be doing. But I want to introduce one of my co-hosts. It looks like he's got a can of Modern Times himself. Nicholas, how you doing?
Oh, I've had quite the day today, and
well, what are you drinking to drink away?
Well, like these guys are about to find out. We do the double fist every Friday night. So in this can, we got the Black House from Modern Times, their coffee stout, roasty stout. And then, not in the can, in the BOD glass, we got the Fruitlands, their sour tropical fruit goza. So the stout, very, very coffee, very smoky, love it. and mixing well with the Goza, love it too. So it's nothing but happy times over here.
Well, why don't
you
you
know,
take it away with the interview? Sorry.
No, that's why don't we do that? Sorry, it's been quite the day today. So one thing that caught my attention is you guys have 8 different locations in the state of California alone. And I remember, I recall, I believe Andrew, you said you all make different brews at all the different locations. How do you keep all of that on track and organized amongst all 8 locations? I'm assuming you're going to have the mainstays, these 2 being your year rounds. But how do you keep all the organized chaos organized between all 8 locations?
I just want to make it clear, like, that I didn't say that we keep it organized. Okay,
Fair enough.
Short answer.
It's sure. If you're doing a really good job, if it really is an organized of hiding.
It's kind of an expanding and contracting living organism of Google Sheets that kind of comes and goes.
They're sentient too.
Yeah, they're sentient. Sometimes there's a new one. No one made it. It just says the Google Sheets just made it for us.
Fair enough.
Combination. We have sheets of sheets, but no, I don't know. It's a number of different things. We use a lot of different tools for communication and stuff. But basically, as it's evolved, and this last year was a big change just with how we kind of like we're selling beer. As it's evolved, different breweries have focused on different things. Portland really has become our lager house. They make a lot of other great beers, but their lagers are just so well done, and people are excited about those that we're focusing our lager production there. So I don't know if you got any lagers in this shipment, but generally we're focusing stuff there. And then in San Diego, we're doing things like Caliban and the larger release stuff. And then in the other locations, Anaheim and LA is a small brewery. We generally do R&D draft stuff. And Anaheim is just cranking out. What they've been doing lately is a big non-barrel aged stouts. So really, really thick, big stouts. Yeah.
Okay. So you mentioned Portland, and you mentioned all the other locations in California. Totally off the wall. Do you see that the what people drink at those different locations, are they all kind of like do the people in Portland folk like to drink a lot of this versus something in Oakland, for example? Or I'm assuming you got to cater to the crowd a little bit as to who goes into those establishments. Are you guys finding a lot of that amongst all of the locations? I mean, it's not every day that we talk to a brewery that has as many locations as Modern Times does. So yeah. How do you try to make everybody happy amongst all of them? Are they all drinking different things? And you kind of, you mentioned the Lager House up in Portland. So how do you...
yeah, it's kind of like, I think, and Phil probably even has a better sense of this, but we kind of the cool thing about it is we have such a range of locations now that we can kind of make whatever our tastes are as brewers at these other locations. And then somewhere people are excited about it, so we're kind of, we have such a huge range, and we've gotten better about brewing things that, like, as we continue to brew, people are just you're able to go to a tasting room and see 30 taps, and it's just like a huge range of different things. So there's always something for everyone, even for Ken, who doesn't like IPAs.
Oh, yeah.
Listen,
he'd be tough.
It's one of those things to where I love anything that's malt forward. Like, the biscuity flavor is what I'm looking for. So if you throw me in and you give me, like, you want to get me to panic, you give me like an amber, a brown, a stout, you give me these and I'm like, what? Because normally when I go to a brewery, there's maybe 1 or 2 of those and 6 IPAs. And as much as I love crisp beers, I love lagers, I love pales, when I go to a brewery, I don't have that brewery mindset where I want to see where this brewer is by tasting their lager or tasting their pills. I want to go there and I want to get something like flavorful to sip on, to enjoy, because I also feel like, what if I get the lager that's really not good and now I'm trying to stomach this lager in front of the person? It's a little bit of a panic attack. But we do have other hosts on this show. Wendy, how you doing today?
Fantastic.
What are you drinking in that Detroit Draft Divas shirt?
I just want to
I
say
too
all
am
the Detroit
drinking
stuff.
Modern Times beer.
Loving it.
My beer fairy loves me though, and she knows that Simcoe Hops and I do not get along. So she picked me up a Mythic Worlds.
Ooh.
Oh yeah,
So I'm
Mythic.
really excited to try that one. I also opened up the stout and um the Gose. So Nick and I obviously have the same taste in beer. That we picked the same beers to start with, but I'm really excited to try this Mythic Worlds. My question,
Oh, sorry.
go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say the just I got to get it in there, but you guys are love it. If you guys are liking Black House, something else that we do that's pretty cool is we have a coffee roastery, and it's makes coffee and cold brew, and all the coffee is roasted in house for that for the Black House. So you're really getting like a sense of modern times there by drinking that stout.
So that's actually what one of my questions was going to be
Oh, sorry.
about because what at work we are also um, coffee fanatics. So I wanted you to tell us a little bit about the coffee to go with the beer.
Yeah,
Yeah, definitely.
Phil, you
I
got
can
it.
jump on this one too.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. I mean, in terms of like the coffee itself, we've been that was like the first coffee blend that we did. Originally the whole idea of starting even roasting coffee was to like purposefully roast for the beer, to have like control. It was sort of like our own sort of like just modular obsessive nature to be like, okay, we want as much like vertical like integration as we can. So we did the Black House, which was a blend of an Ethiopian and Sumatra coffee. And that, for about a year, we were just doing it for only beer. And then afterwards, we started doing whole bean for, small grocery chains, things like Whole Foods, doing it out of our own tasting rooms. And then just recently too, we've been kind of dabbling in like canned cold brew, which currently has kind of been scaled up to the point where it's nationwide in Sprouts. Not sure if you guys have any Sprouts out in Michigan, but if anyone's looking for the coffee to try, we sent a handful of it out to Oath, but I imagine they're gonna drink a lot of it. They seemed like they were like, we just want this for ourselves. So I don't know. Hopefully it makes it out into the world, and maybe some of the bottle shops will get some of the coffee bags that we sent. But they seem pretty stoked on it.
Can you purchase the coffee beans online to have it shipped out?
Absolutely. So we do a 6-month subscription you can do if you want it on a regular basis, or any of the releases that we're doing each month, like our seasonal and our kind of single origins, you can get in bags directly to your door.
Awesome. We're definitely going to be placing an order shortly.
Yeah, it is very likely when we have these shows and people talk to us about different products that we can order here in Michigan, we typically buy it while we're on the show and everyone else is talking. But Robert, how are you and what are you drinking?
Doing pretty well. I am pulling a double fist as well, although I'm sitting to the side right now, the PB Stout from Big Lake, staying local on that one. And right now enjoying the first Modern Times beer I'd ever had when I went out to California about 6 years ago. I think it was something about that, is the Black House. It was like one of the first cans of Modern Times that I got when I was out there visiting my brother. And he lives out there in the Berkeley area. So definitely enjoying that. But I guess first I kind of want to start with Andrew on this one. I was wondering whether the other hosts are going to jump on this one, so I have to ask about this because I have not heard a job title like this since maybe like one of our interviews with New Belgium. And I'm curious, what is a commissioner of flavor?
Yeah, I think it's set up so that I have to answer this question. So that's the main purpose of the title. No, it's just we do a lot of different things at Modern Times. We have beer that goes to Michigan, and then we also have a lot of beer that stays in-house as well. So we have a director of brewery operations, and I'm the commissioner of flavor, someone that kind of oversees beer quality and creation, kind of internally and sometimes externally, but generally like the newer brands, the innovative brands, stuff like that. It's really super interesting, super fun.
Yes, definitely. And definitely for some of the coffee has definitely made it this way because I believe with one of our local breweries with Griffin Claw that they had used your coffee in their Flying Buffalo, which was I didn't think that they were able to improve on when they were using the Great Lakes roasting coffee, but when they threw in Modern Times coffee in there, it made it so much better. It was amazing to taste that coffee flavor that was in there. Now, one of the other things is that obviously you joined Modern Times back in, I think it was like April of 2014, after leaving Ithaca Beer Company. And if that's the Ithaca
Good
that
research.
I'm thinking of, that is Ithaca, New York, is it not?
That's right. Yeah, this is like what is that thing, Phil? The Canadian rap guy who does the interviews. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah,
Snow.
yeah.
What
Oh,
is
I
it?
forget though.
I was you saw Canadian rap, and I just the first thing I thought of was Snow, who sings Informer.
Oh, geez.
That's the only Canadian rapper that's not Drake that I know of. But continue.
I'll see if I can find another one for you, Ken.
No.
Go
It's
on.
not, yeah. Well, anyway, yes, that's right. New
Okay.
York. That's where I'm from originally. Yeah.
Okay, because I was gonna say that is a hell of a jump coast to coast. I was just kind of curious, what pursued making that jump from,
Oh.
the crazy winters that we're dealing with out here as the snow is coming down to come out to the sunny skies of San Diego.
Well, in the balance of everything, I had to say, weigh the snowy, extremely cold winters of Ithaca and Syracuse, New York, and on the other side, the mild and pleasant winters of, or I don't even know what to call what we're going through right now. It's just beautiful out. Anyway, but so yeah, easy question. Back when I was applying for the job here, there was I worked at Ithaca Beer. We're a cool brewery making really good beer in Ithaca, New York, and making sour beer and making barrel aged beer and all this stuff. And I had just massive ambitions to do other stuff. So one of the breweries that I follow along with was Modern Times, and they'd only been open a year. Applied for the job. Jacob and I, the CEO and founder, talked about a few things, and I came out and started brewing for Modern Times. But the whole thing with Modern Times is that they've always been a brewery that was all about creating new ideas and really executing on them. And I think that's what I wanted to do, and that's what we've done. And in a lot of ways, a lot of breweries are doing that now, but Modern Times was really, really innovative in that way, and like one of the first breweries to kind of say, we're just going to basically make anything we want to make,
Right.
So,
And actually, that kind of takes me to Phil real quick, because obviously from what I've been reading, that you've been with Modern Times from the beginning, and I'm just kind of curious to kind of talk about the idea that Jacob had back then, which I'm guessing your hair was a little bit shorter back then in 2013. No,
No.
no.
I haven't had short hair since
It
like
took that long to grow. I don't grow hair, so I have no idea. But I guess just talk about hearing Jacob's idea and bringing you in, and how that, the brewery coming to life, and I guess how you felt in making it come to, I guess what it is today.
Yeah, that's an interesting one too, and definitely it's one that kind of shoots me down like the nostalgia wormhole. It's like pulling a plunger back on like a pinball machine, and my brain is twisting. But I knew Jacob because we both worked at Stone, so I started working at Stone maybe like 2018 or so, and he had kind of stepped in to do like their social media and stuff. And I still remember like when he was leaving, because we both worked in the marketing department there. He had like his last day, which was kind of like, at the brewery, it's like, oh, cool, we're drinking beers, hopefully things, go well. And, everyone in the back of their mind has this like fantasy of like their own brewery they would start. And he had like so much lined up. So this was 2 years before the brewery opened, like 2011, I think is when he left. And he was like, all the beers are going to be named after utopian experiments, man. They're going to be, all this, understated, really aroma forward, hybrid style kind of stuff. And, I remember even talking to him then, and, just working there, there's sort of like the dismissive, like when your buddy's doing something like, yeah, dude, whatever, that'll be cool. And then like a year and a half later, stuff was happening and things were moving. And he hit me up and, basically it's like, hey, do you want to, jump on this? At the time, fairly like risky decision. And it was kind of one of those moments where like, it was like the lame joke I always say is I'm kind of like the Renee Zellweger of Modern Times, like somebody who was like, I'll go, I guess. Nobody else really came to this banner cry, and gave up health insurance and all of that. And it's been seriously unreal. Like having talked to Jacob even early on about like the 5-year plan and everything there, and we exceeded that early.
Nice.
Yeah, been
Ken,
crazy.
I think you're going to jump in.
Yeah, I wanted to hop in because one of the big things. So I had worked in San Diego a handful of times with my previous job, and one of the things is being so close to Mexico. I was curious if you guys saw the same thing from brewery tourism into San Diego from the Mexican population as we do in Michigan. I had lived in Detroit, so like the Canadian excursion where people would come across the border from Canada to Detroit to Michigan to go check out our breweries. Do you guys see that a lot down there, or is that something that just kind of feels like it's only in Michigan?
No, 100%. One of my like really good friends I met, his name's Mudo Martinez. He is just such an incredible dude. He was from like Monterrey, Mexico, and I met him back when I was at Stone because I was doing brewery tours and stuff back then. And every year around Comic Con, he would organize like a full bus tour, and they were coming from far away, and they would pick up people, kind of around like TJ, other stuff, people who were just craft beer fans. And yeah, it was so big that we ended up, going out and doing like a launch and like a tour down in Mexico with Modern Times, just going and doing different events. Like it's huge. People down there, just the trading back and forth too. Like there's like a crazy like aftermarket for beer down there too. So we see a lot of social media accounts that are like reselling beers that don't leave the tasting room. Which we're like, yeah, it happens.
Yeah, I went down to Mexico City one time and saw Black House for like $20, 20 American dollars down in Mexico City because they just like someone put it in their trunk and drove it down to Mexico City.
I was gonna say that's definitely a hike from San Diego for sure, because that's pretty much right in the dead center of Mexico itself. We did have at one point a brewer from Michigan actually got picked to go run a brewery out in Cancun. So my follow up question to that with the tourism, because obviously his big thing is that running a brewery in Cancun, you're dealing hardcore against Corona, Dos Equis, Bud, Miller. How do you guys focus against that when you're in such a large city where people are coming in from they're coming in to go see the Padres, or I was about to say the Chargers, but I don't think the Chargers are there anymore. Oh no, Philip, I'm sorry.
It
That
used to
is
be a
such a
Chargers fan.
disappointment. If I just can just add that, they
But
should
but
stay there.
how do you
Thank you.
guys set yourselves apart for craft beer in a city where people just come in and typically are drinking the cheap yellow stuff?
That's
Well, I
a
mean,
good question. Oh, after
no,
you
no,
first.
just real quick. I just want to say we're all dealing with Corona, and I think that every brewery has to deal with that at this last year. So
Yeah.
I was referring to the beer, obviously, but thank you for that. I
That's
didn't even
awesome.
think twice. You caught it. I don't
But
think any of us caught that except for you. But yeah, Philip, why don't you continue?
just ruining your podcast one
that's
one
what
bit at a time.
that's what we're here for. Yeah, we're tanking this thing down. Um, but yeah, that's an interesting point, and I think there's a couple different ways to say it. Like San Diego is lucky to have that crazy, amazing, just ambient tourism because of how all the natural wonder. But I mean, the beer scene's been big here. This has been we're one of the quotes that Jacob would say a lot of times, like always stuck with me too, is we've always been kind of standing on the shoulders of giants out here in the first place. People like Pizza Port and Alesmith and Lost Abbey, and like all these breweries who've been around forever have built a tourism there. And I know so many people that I've met that run beer tourism spots and things like that. And so it's been really cool to see that that's kind of integrated into it. People come out here, and in addition to being like, we're going to go to SeaWorld and see how sad Shamu is, we're going to also go to a bunch of breweries around town. So it's been a mix of like, yeah, we don't necessarily have to like change to cater to draw people in. It's been a bit of a destination.
Because you guys down there in that little San Diego area have like 3 of the top 50 breweries by production, um, between you, Stone, and Carl Strauss. Um, the amount of beer that's coming out of that area. So I was just always curious how that works, because the west side of Michigan, we have our two big boys, Founders and Bells. Um, but there is so many other breweries around there that I think help support those two breweries, that were they're more focused on distribution than local brewery participation. How do you guys get people into the doors of your breweries themselves, especially because you have 8 of them? Like what is attracting people to the breweries themselves?
You're drinking the Black House. right? I mean,
I'm drinking Caliban.
yeah. Oh, you're drinking Caliban. So no, I mean,
I have fun.
I understood. I said I hated IPAs for the first 20 minutes of the show, but I am drinking an IPA.
right. Well, no. I think that's part of it. I think that we just started to make beer that was. I mean, originally we were making beer that was quite a bit different than a lot of breweries in San Diego, and but also, you know, like Phil's saying, an evolution of the styles that people are making. People are curious. Beer drinkers are curious, and we're here to like meet a lot of different palettes and what people are excited about. So I think that's part of it. And also the cool art on our cans and shit, you know, that's super fun too.
Design, man.
Design.
Let me throw it back to Rob because I know he's got a question.
All right. Well, since Corona and the coronavirus was mentioned, I guess I'll start with this one. But I know that, you know, with everything just now kind of reopening slightly, but obviously in the past few, we'll say years, it just feels like that it's left, obviously, I think for Andrew here, that's left you doing a bit more cooking as in terms of going out. Some sites said that you definitely were going through a pizza phase. I guess I'm curious that in going to farmers markets like Chino Farm and all these other different places, are there any ingredients that you've run into at these places that have inspired you to create new beers in the portfolio?
Phil,
Tomato beer.
Phil, are you ready for yours? Are you ready for yours?
The stocking? Man,
yeah,
this
stocking.
is. I'm scared. Can't get anything past Robert.
Okay,
this is definitely
Robert.
the most thoroughly researched interview I've ever been on.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Isn't that the truth? Isn't he so well? He's just so prepared.
Yeah,
I love it. I love it. More prepared than us. We're like, what hops are in Caliban? So
I tried it.
no. Oh, for sure. I mean, we are always experimenting with different things, and it's not just, you know, there's a lot of people that are super curious about different products. Cool Zone that Phil is drinking, if you want to take a look at that, has Petite Syrah and Zinfandel grapes in it, and that's kind of something that been searching for and looking for, is like different wine varieties and wine grapes that we can get our hands on. This one's actually kind of from a collaboration with Las Heras Wines, which do really, really cool California grown wines, and we've created like a little partnership with them. So that's kind of where that goes. But yeah, pizza dreams, you know, that's another thing. That's a whole different world. Phil, what are your pizza dreams?
You know, midnight pizza. That's my roommate's pizza that he's been working on in terms of trying to launch eventually into a restaurant. So I gotta give him the shout out.
When the 2 minutes in the pizza doomsday clock until midnight.
Yeah.
I'm also curious, how did the beer with Feijoa go?
Yeah, we did that a while ago.
First, actually, I guess for everyone else, and probably myself included, because I just saw pictures and I don't know if I'd ever eat this thing, but what is Feijoa?
Yeah, Feijoa is what else do they call it? Pineapple guava is another name for it. It's like a little guava. It's a hardy guava, and it's really, really, really potently aromatic. I mean, it has a very unique aroma. It's almost on the verge of like a plastic kind of phenolic character, but it's intensely thiol rich and intense tropical fruit. It's very interesting. In New Zealand, apparently, it's like a very important fruit down there for them. So when we got some here, we worked with a grower in San Diego, and we got some Feijoa, and we did a beer with it. And there was one person. I mean, people liked it or they didn't like it. It's almost like a durian level of unique character. If you ever had a durian fruit, but it has this really intense aroma. And when we released it, and it had a bit of a polarizing reception. But this one person loved it, and he was like, "When are you going to make this again?" Turns out he was a New Zealand native that lives in the United States, so he was in love with that beer.
It's good though. All day is one fan. We'll do it again.
Obviously,
Yeah.
definitely not a stranger to using some unique ingredients, but and it's a shame that Dan is not here because I believe he would actually like what I'm about to say from what I was looking at was that you don't use lactose in beer, which has been quite a big thing when it comes to milkshake IPAs and trying to make pastry stouts and things of that nature. I guess why not?
I
We've
feel
left
like
the
you're
lactose
listening.
millions on the table.
Yeah, we didn't. Yeah, it's it's the Doja coin of ingredients, you know.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
we really blew that one. No, we're a vegan brewery. That's not really a big deal. You don't really have to use animal-based products in your beer and make good beer. But lactose did get a little bit of excitement for a while. It has a useful way to add sweetness to your beer if that's what you're looking for. And we haven't done that because all of our products are vegan. Makes them accessible for everyone.
Nice.
Right, Phil?
I actually
yeah.
just noticed that on this can because I opened up a Fruitlands Rosé edition.
I
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
It says it right on the can. This
I
beer is
believe
vegan.
it was a big deal when Guinness mentioned that they were going to go vegan because one of the big things with their filtration process involved some type of animal. I can't think of it. I think it was a whale.
Isinglass or something in there.
Yeah. So it was a big deal when they wanted to go vegan. But I know Wendy, you got a follow-up question.
Yeah. What are some of the favorite flavors that you have done?
Oh boy,
Ooh.
Phil, what are your favorite flavors? Phil's.
You know what I was thinking that I wanted to ask if you had any more cans of? That espresso macaroon, Monsters Park. I think that was my favorite beer of last year.
Oh yeah, well, it was a lot of people's favorite beer.
It's amazing.
Yeah, that one. I don't know if we don't have any cans, I don't think, but I'll see if we can find some. Sorry.
Yeah, I gotta get that. It's
Side
not
note.
something. But that was amazing. It's flavor wise. I mean, it's I guess more common flavors, but just the execution on it was so high.
I think that's the kind of thing that we've been really digging into lately is refinement of flavors, like looking at things. Using like espresso macaroon, which is coffee and coconut and vanilla. Excuse me, but using that in like a really interesting way. So I don't know, using our coffee program I think that's been some of my favorite flavors that we've done recently. We've done coffee that has been barrel aged. So we actually take the green coffee, put it in a barrel, and then take it out, roast it. We do coffee that's been conditioned with different products. So we've done like kind of brandy conditioned coffee and mezcal conditioned coffee and stuff like that. And that's a really, really, really unique product. I'm trying to think. I love fresh stone fruit season. Plums are one of my favorite things. New Zealand Nelson hops are just really special little hops that we get. What else? What's my favorite beer? I think.
Yeah, what's your favorite?
What's my favorite beer? I don't. It doesn't have any. It just. I think one of my favorites is Celestial City. Oh yeah. Recently we did a mixed culture saison that we fermented in fooders. So they're actually fooders from Missouri. So they're Missouri oak fooders. We aged it in there, and then we aged it in. We fermented it in there, aged it in a gin barrel. So it was a barrel that held gin previously. Put it in there, took it out, and then put it on nectarines. And that beer was just absolutely incredible, just stunningly good.
That was incredible. Yeah.
And for those listening, a fooder is?
Oh, a fooder is like a giant barrel.
That was great. You nailed it.
Yeah.
That's all you need to say.
A wooden barrel, at least.
A wooden barrel, that's right. A giant
awesome.
wooden barrel. They're a little bit different. Instead of the slats kind of being, well, it's kind of on its edge. I don't know. It's just a big barrel.
For those of you who are not watching the video, which if you're listening to the podcast, you can go to youtube.com/betterondraft or facebook.com/betterondraft or twitch.tv/bod podcast. You can catch the video of this and you can see Andrew attempting to give us a visualization of everything that he's talking about for a fooder. Nick, what question do you got?
So you see
I don't know if I can top the fooder barrel question. I don't know if I can top that. Shit. Let's. Oh, that razzed me up a little. Yeah, we can swear. We just don't talk about the other stuff we
Dang,
talked
I
about.
didn't know
Yeah,
that.
because I'm sure Philip, you understand when you're doing marketing, you have to be 21 and up on literally everything on Facebook, on
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
so we might as well, we ain't no Christian, no cursing, kids bop version of beer drinkers. So
No, we're
I mean, we do have the big E next to our,
yeah,
podcast
well,
on
we have
iTunes.
to because of
So
the alcohol. But I mean,
We're gonna have to fucking change that.
Fooder could be one of those,
Oh,
in lieu of words. Like, you mother fooder.
with food or oh gosh. Okay. Wow, that was an interesting take.
Go for it, Nick.
Let's go back to your R&D facility. I was able to go check out the Sam Adams one over in Boston last, forever and a day ago, before when we were actually able to travel places. So R&D facilities for beer have always been kind of fascinating for me. What's one of the more unusual beers that you guys put out in your R&D facility? Or do you have that one that was just weird that you didn't, that you were anxious to try but you really didn't know how well it was going to be received?
I'll say the Fajoa one. I mean, we have a lot of very interesting beers that were like that. Like I said, like with the gin barrel, and then also the fooder, and it can get like very complex. And I think that's something that we do pretty regularly.
Mm-hmm.
One of the ones that we did that was really, really interesting was we did a beer. We attempted to make a Baja Blast sour beer.
We succeeded. We didn't just attempt.
Yes.
All right.
My attention.
Yes, please elaborate on that, because when I found out that they started bottling that stuff, I started flipping out. So
Okay,
please
so,
elaborate.
I'm trying to look at the fruits that were in it right now, and I cannot find them. But it was basically a tropical fruited Berliner that used this specifically blue-green algae, which is a bacteria, cyanobacteria, not actually an algae, and used that as kind of a pigment dye in it to make it blue. So it was blue, and then it had like a tropical sourness to it. And the thing about the Baja Blast is the main component that you would smell in the Baja Blast product if you were to purchase a Baja Blast soda is
Formaldehyde, right?
Is
Please don't ruin it for me, Phil. Please don't.
It's a blue raspberry, and of course, blue raspberry is not a natural flavor. There's no such thing as a blue raspberry, and it's only derived from cockroach glands. So you have to get it. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But
that was good. That was really good.
Blue raspberry is like obviously not a real flavor, so it's some weird variation of like kind of berry forward, kind of tropical, and we had to kind of approximate that. So it was kind of a fun project. But I think that was one of my fun ones of last year. What do you think, Phil?
That was great.
What do you got?
I mean, that was awesome. And it was for that we did basically a Taco Bell inspired beer dinner, which birthed our like most successful menu item at all of our restaurants, which is our Munch Wrap. Which is just like, it's about this, it's like the thickness of 3 Crunch Wraps that have been fused together, and it is a powerful elixir.
I eat 3 a week.
Yeah, I eat them anytime that I'm around. It's you can't stop.
We just started having outdoor dining. I wasn't even hungry. I was there. I was like, the Munch Wrap's on. I should probably get one.
We should start shipping them. Just right to people.
Yeah.
Direct ship a Munch Wrap.
Oh, here's your coffee subscription and your Munch Wrap subscription.
Monthly rotating
Munch Wrap. That would like that.
Has Taco Bell never done like a subscription program where you just get like this food?
You bring up a finer point, because there's a local Michigan restaurateur that is doing a subscription-based model for their food and dining out here in Detroit. So I'm curious how that's gonna roll, and what the cost to get in. But I'm gonna swing it to Rob here. We're gonna be kind of winding down here in a minute, but I know he's got like 500 questions he wants to ask. But we'll start off with one and kind of go from there.
They're not 500, maybe 5.
I'm excited for this question. It's going to be Phil in the 5th grade. You
Wait,
Oh,
wait
no.
till
How do you find out
it
about that?
comes to me.
Andrew, I haven't even asked you if you still like chai tea yet or not. So I'm gonna go off of that. But I'm curious because I'm always interested in breweries that are employee owned. And back in 2017, Modern Times became the first brewery in California to become employee owned. I guess I'm curious from both of you is, what does owning a piece of a brewery give to you on a personal level when you're going, from being in to just being outside in the world and knowing that you own a piece of Modern Times?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I think it's one that we, have always kind of worked on too, because the moment we did the ESOP, right? It was just like a high five party. Everyone's excited, and it's weird because after that it becomes like a really like stable and sensible retirement program. It's like getting hyped on mutual funds versus being hyped on like Bitcoin, Dogecoin, what we're talking about before. So it kind of requires more of that kind of investment from a brewery standpoint of like how do we continue to talk through this and continue to get excited. For me, I find that it's pretty rewarding just because it's there's like anything else, like we love making beer, we love being in this industry and stuff, but there's always those moments where you're like personally dragging yourself across the finish line of your day, and it is a little bit easier when you're kind of making that last push in any kind to be like, what, this is a really rad space. This is something super unique. We own a piece of this brewery. This is this really precious moment in time. It kind of gives you some of that perspective, because I think it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to always have that kind of viewpoint, because this is something really, really uniquely ours and uniquely special.
Andrew, anything on that to add to that?
Well, I see. I think Modern Times is actually. So I started when I started in San Diego. I of course knew Modern Times. I was like, Modern Times. That's why I'm coming out here. I'm so excited about it, and I'm working at this company that I love. And when I first started working here, I would tell people, and occasionally they'd be like, "Oh yeah, I had that at the pub there," or I haven't had it. I remember saying to someone, I work at Modern Times. They're like, "Oh, are you like a knight or something?" And I'm like, "What?" And they're like, "Medieval times?" I'm like, "No, not medieval times, modern times." But now everyone,
Yeah.
But now everyone in San Diego knows Modern Times, so I like to wear my shirt that says ESOP and just flaunt it in everyone's face and show that I own part of the company.
Good. I like that.
Yeah.
So we're winding down. I appreciate you guys taking the time out of your day to chat. I am almost about ready to crack open the third Caliban here, so I'm feeling nice and toasty. But as we kind of finish the show, we're gonna go and have everyone ask a final question. Basically figure out what you said back in the second grade, and want you to expand on that. But I would be behooved to not mention our sponsors, the Tuna Liquor over in Rochester Hills, just south of M59 and Rochester Road, and North Center Brewing over in Northville, Michigan. 25% capacity. Go check them out. They do have heated outdoor seating, so you can go get them. Full menu, full beer. Great place to go stop and shop. We're going to start with Wendy. Wendy, what's the final question for Andrew and Phillip here?
Well, I'm going to let Rob ask the questions about second grade, and I want to know what can we look forward to from Modern Times?
Ooh, so many things going on. Andrew, you're the future caster living in the tomorrowland.
Future commissioner.
Yes. I commissioned the beers to be brewed in the future. Oh man, we have some really cool stuff coming out. We're let's see, what were we just talking about? We're gonna throw together a cream ale this year. We're really excited about. It's simple, but we're excited about putting that out. We got a rice lager coming out soon, and then of course on the other side of things, we also have and we're having a hard time relaying just what is in this beer, but it's a peanut butter chocolate French toast stout. So it's gonna have all the things in it, I think. So it's got bananas in it too.
Don't forget the bananas and the cinnamon.
So you just added my last favorite ingredient for a stout. So
was it banana?
I got you.
Yeah, you've got them all in there now. So I'm really excited.
So we'll definitely do bananas. And if you guys want to have another podcast, we can talk about the meticulous selection of bananas that we do at Modern Times. It's been
That's pretty. It's good. It's a good topic. You could spend an hour on that alone.
Yes,
I believe
undoubtedly.
it.
And I have spent an hour on
Talking about that's true. I guess you're right.
There comes a point in time in my life where if there are too many words on a pastry stout label, I just give up. Like banana, peanut butter, chocolate, French toast, like that's just too much for me. Like I just at that point I'm like just go like 100% in the other direction. I just want a stout.
So the hardest part about I remember this happened when we were really we get ultra nerdy about stuff, and as Phil once said to me, he's like, what makes Modern Times special is that we get nerdy about the beer that we make, and that's kind of what makes the beer special, is like we're just ultra nerds. But there's one time I tried to explain to someone that didn't really know much about beer what a barrel aged coffee in a barrel aged stout, and it was rye whiskey barrel aged, and it was a rye stout, and just the eyes glazed over immediately.
Yeah.
It was like, what are you saying to me? I don't know. It's just, is it beer or not?
It's like showing somebody Steely Dan. Like
Yes.
sometimes it's gonna
Yes.
work. A lot of the time it's not. So, and you got to be okay with that, and that's fun.
Andrew, I want to bring up because it was a huge conversation, and this was over 200 episodes ago, because of the rules and regulations that involve around bourbon barrels. Is there a form of barrel or wood that you would love to age a beer in that's not your standard bourbon barrel age? Because when we had Black Lotus and Unity Vibration on, this is episode 34, folks, so you got to go way back, but we were talking about the different types of wood they would love to just, age a beer in. Is there something that you think would really expand a portfolio if you could create a barrel with this wood?
Absolutely. And that wood, we already, we've been talking about this internally for a while. It's the Amburana wood. If we get more Amburana wood oak, if you ever have cachaça, it's kind of Brazilian rum made from sugarcane, and they age it in Amburana, and it has this really cool, spicy cinnamon kind of baking spice note to it. And we've made some beers with Amburana wood, but to get a barrel made of Amburana would just be the coolest. Yeah.
All right, finishing up, Nick. What's your final takeaway from Modern Times?
All right, I always ask this towards the end of every show. Your favorite guilty pleasure beer, and it can't be Modern Times. It's in your fridge. What is it right now?
High Life.
High Life. Okay, that's straightforward. Okay, High Life. Okay, Andrew.
No shame. It's not a guilty pleasure, but my absolute number one beer that I bought the most of during COVID and being stuck in your house the whole time was Allagash White. I drank so much of that beer. Just incredible.
Very different than High Life.
I'm so mad.
He just melted in his seat, guys. He's a puddle over there now.
Before the craft beer boom, Allagash restricted their distribution into Michigan. I used to get the bombers of Allagash White all the time from Zaytuna Liquor, and one day it just was never there again. And I'm like, what happened? So every time I would go to Cali or Boston or Chicago, I'd bring back as much as I could Allagash White. The triple's really good too. I'm sure you've had the triple, but
oh yeah,
that Allagash triple is so solid.
A lot of Allagash stuff, and the thing that we benefit from having the distribution out here is that sometimes it seems like they're doing so many different distribution types of that beer. So they have like 4-pack, 16 ounces, 12-ounce cans, like I don't know, large format stuff. So occasionally one of those goes on sale. So you're just picking up Allagash White really cheap in a different package format. I don't care what it comes in. It all tastes the same. It's all great. So There we go.
Yeah, I feel like you're rubbing it in, and I'm not a fan of this. Robert, what's your final question for? Yeah, they just banned Tavor here in Michigan. I ain't ordering anything, and getting a stipend check for a fine from the MLCC. Robert.
Yeah. So as of, at least from what I saw, as of last June, you guys have been distributing into 28 states. And of course, us here in Michigan getting that nice drop of Modern Times cans this past week. I guess my question is, I think from especially talking about this stout that is coming out, that is this just a drop or is it a test to see if Michigan will be in the future a new state to add to your distribution on a regular basis?
Yeah, that's a good question. I can kind of tackle it too. So what we'll do is we call them burst buys. Like a bunch of people call them different stuff like pulses, things like that. Like what we do is we kind of will send like the occasional truck out to different markets. And so right now, full time, we're in about 10 states, but the other ones, those other 18, we're kind of doing on a rotational basis. And it's kind of for a mix of reasons. One of the first things is just kind of, getting a sense of what the like demand is and excitement is in a place. It's really hard to do because we're so far removed from it, and every scene has its own just distinct kind of like demand for stuff, or things like 16-ounce cans don't do well in this random state, and so on and so forth. Ideally, the kind of goal is to maybe do another one of these summer-ish down out to Michigan. We don't think we have a specific date locked in, but it's definitely something that we felt pretty excited about. And of course, thanks to Oath, who we worked with. I used to work with Aaron Tyrell over in at Stone years ago. But yeah, definitely something we want to do again. It's been successful so far.
I want to follow up with that because I think it's very important to discuss, because I don't think it's a Michigan only issue. But when a brewery enters into a state, especially the state of Michigan, it comes in, there's a lot of hype, and it dies in a month. How do you, I'm assuming it happens in other states, how do you continue to push that state? Or are you just kind of like pushing product to push product? Like how do you get people to come back?
That's why we'd like to delineate between these like burst buys that I'll just use as the terminology going forward versus other full-time states. So for burst buys, by like having it exit the shelf, get out, be done, using kind of like a pre-sell model, you're kind of continuing to be able to stoke that sort of initial demand when it comes back again several months later. Like it's, you're not just being inundated without it. And there's like floor stacks at every grocery store that you go to. For spaces where we're looking to kind of put like a full-time push, we'll usually hire like a salesperson in that area to kind of invest in the longer term. And that's just going to be a function of like what we think the outlook's going to be there, and what we're able to do just based on kind of where we're at as a company at that moment in time.
So it sounds like that would be the McRib hypothesis.
Yeah, when the price of pork goes down, Modern Times can finally sell to Michigan.
I mean that's not a bad theory with regards to like selling, because when we have breweries that come in, they come in and then they just die. Like they just sit on shelves. Like and what is the exact same thing when Fat Tire, when New Belgium came into the state, it was huge. And then it kind of pittered off, but now like when these breweries are coming in, like your Hoppin' Frog,
Terrapin.
Oh, wait, I forgot Terrapin's in the state already. Ballast Point. All these breweries come in, it just kind of dies off. So I have, this is going to be to everyone as we finish the pod. So get prepared. Are you prepared? I hope you're prepared. Because Phillip, you did an interview back in 2012 with the head brewer of Founders.
Oh, nice. Oh, you dug up my old writing days, my journalistic days.
I tell you what, we do our best to chat with you guys and make sure we understand. So you asked, you asked Jeremy, and I'm going to ask you guys, including everyone, if you could only have one beer and one album on constant rotation for the rest of your life, what would they be?
Ooh. Do I have to go back to Steely Dan? No, I should go ahead and put my money where my mouth is. One album, I would probably pick, maybe Funkadelic, Standing on the Verge of Getting It On.
Ooh.
One beer, I would probably pick only one beer.
Only one beer.
That's the hardest one. That's like definitely would be, I think, oh man, maybe I'm gonna pick one of our beers as a selfish promotion.
That's fair.
To use this platform.
You allowed Jeremy to do it too. He picked Founders All Day IPA.
Fair. It's in the title of the beer too, so I guess it was an easy out for him.
What's selling well right now?
I'll do Abaddon.
Abaddon.
Yeah.
Andrew, what about you?
Yeah. Well, I think we could take, into my entire life and throw that into like what the perfect album would be. But what am I listening to right now? I would just say Let's listen to My Bloody Valentine. You know that album? I think
Ooh.
it's self-titled one. Just
Or Loveless? Which one? Which one's your favorite?
Loveless. Sorry, Loveless. Yes. You heard that
That's
album,
dope.
Phil?
It's pretty cool. I saw him live, and it was the most painful experience of my life from a sound perspective. It was a really good show, but it hurts.
Did you? I talked to someone else that said that was the most boring show they've ever been to.
It was just loud. Like people were like passing out like left and right. Like it was like a battle of attrition to like stay there.
Yes. Well, on the opposite end of that, the beer I would choose, which would not be a battle of attrition, I would just pick Foamer, man. It's like perfect.
Foamer
I love
Pils.
that beer so much. Foamer Pills. It's our beer, of course, but
I like
how
that.
can you created it, so you have to love it, and you have to drink it. Or Grodzitsky, which is
Every day?
smoked. I would drink Grodzitsky every day. And I mostly have, like, a lot. That's my number two. That's my number two. So Grodzitsky is a 3.8% smoked lager.
It's good.
100% oak smoked malt and 3.8%. Yep. So not for everyone, that's for sure. But some people like it. Yeah.
All right. Well, on a quick response, Wendy, what about you?
I would have to go with Trogue's Mad Elf, just because it's my favorite ever. And for the album, I would probably pick something like Hamilton, but if I had to pick an actual band, I think I would pick Matchbox 20's You, Yourself, or Someone Like You.
Such
Beautiful.
a good
Ooh.
album.
Whoa.
So wholesome.
I think I want to go listen to that. Like after this show, now that you brought it up, I got a chance to see them with the Goo Goo Dolls live. Just such like a nice, fun event. But Robert, what about you?
As far as beer, I'm probably gonna stick in California and just go with Bottle Logic's Fundamental Observation.
Ooh,
That's
whoa,
a big one.
On tap
Yeah.
all the time.
All the time. It's
I love
just
it.
I love barrel age, and that has been one of my favorite ones. So I would go with that. Album, I probably would go with Tribe Called Quest's Midnight Marauders.
Awesome.
Great choice too.
Nicholas.
Favorite beer right now?
You only got one beer left to drink the rest of your life. What are you drinking?
He's whatever's in front of him. You know, this man's had a tough day.
Yeah, well, right now I will say I'm not a big Goza fan. This here from you guys, so freaking good. So I'd say at the moment it's got to be the Fruitlands from you guys. So I'll say that right now. Album wise, I actually wrote all my favorite albums down, my top 10 favorite albums, like a couple of years ago. Number one for me is The Prodigy's Fat of the Land.
Ooh, I like that.
Solid classic.
I gotta listen to that.
One of my all-time favorite concerts to attend was The Prodigy.
And I'm so jealous that you were able to see them and Keith Flint, rest in peace.
I tell you what, for those of you who are like, oh, techno, when you see a live DJ that's like a techno DJ and you see a live, like, I play music on an Apple, you could tell the difference.
Oh,
and Nick, we learned this when we went and saw
we saw Paul Oakenfold.
Yep, and we saw
Darude.
Darude, yeah. What an amazing show Darude does live. For me, I have very, very simple as we're finishing this up. Marshall Mathers LP by Eminem.
Ooh.
And honest
You're
to
a
God,
stand for Eminem.
there was like a double, like a triple entendre for that one. And for the beer, honestly, I would say Alaskan Amber. I think
Hell yeah.
it's such a solid beer. Very underappreciated style, all beers. And that's gonna do it. We're reaching the 60-minute mark for the live.
I have a couple questions.
Well, go for it. Go for it.
Oh,
What?
He has
First
flipped,
question.
turned upside down the interview.
Who wants to know? So I got some real, I got some dirt on Robert. No, I'm just kidding. I
That would
even
be
know
so good. He doesn't even know his real name. It's Rob.
Yeah. Okay. So what is your favorite Michigan brewery?
Oh,
Who wants to answer?
Ooh.
as someone who launched the Michigan Brewery Map app, which if you go to mibeermap.com, you can download for free iOS or Android. And as someone who would say North Center Brewing because they pay for this show to continue each and every week, taking away all of that, I'm gonna be honest. I love, just because of the atmosphere, the food, and the beer, Atwater in the Park in Grosse Pointe Park.
Okay.
I, if I
haven't been there.
wanted, if there's a place where I'm like, the choice of beers, which is a large choice, so there's plenty of beers to choose from, amazing options for food, and the beer garden slash the indoor is so gorgeous. Like if I were to take, say, a date, mind you, I'm happily in a relationship, but if I were to take like a date, like that would be one of my first choices. And she's
Why
probably
wouldn't you take her on a date?
Yeah.
She's probably listening because our first date was Eastern Market Brewing, and she's like, "Well, why the fuck didn't you take me to this place?" No, no,
Because you can't go out anywhere anymore.
well, yeah. So I would say Atwater in the Park over in Grosse Pointe Park. I don't know about you guys, Nick.
See, I pretty much
Go, Rob. You first.
I would stick with the Homer here because the most of the part time that I kind of work there too is going to be Eastern Market Brewing Company / Ferndale Project, the whole shebang bang there. So they would be my number one right now, just because of the amount of styles that they come up with. I probably, in all honesty, they're probably making a little bit too many New England IPAs and sours right now. But to actually be on the other side, that all of them have been relatively on point with the different types of hops that they've been using in all of them. So I got to go with them.
Wendy?
So my answer to that question is always, are you east or west of Lansing? Because if you're west of Lansing, I will tell you to go to Arclight because I think they're amazing. Their sour program is off the charts. Their Snickeldew Reporter is something that I will travel 3.5 hours to go and get twice a year. And then if you're east of Lansing, I say Batch Brewing Company. I just love them. I love everything about them. Their culture, the beers that they
Food.
make are amazing, and the people
Amazing.
there are fantastic.
And then for me, Atwater would be my close number two, as much as other people shit on them sometimes. But to hell with them. My number one would be Griffin Claw out of Birmingham and recently expanded to Rochester, Michigan. Their Flying Buffalo, which is one of their barrel ages. I believe they did the collab with Modern Times Coffee, as a matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Rob, am I?
That's right.
Yeah, so there's one, but the different variants they spit out every year around November, that's my chasing beer. That's the one I go after. But they also have all their mainstays, the Mr. Blue Sky, the grind lined.
As the commissioner of beer, Andrew, if you're looking for more collaborations, there are two people that I would highly suggest getting in touch with.
We already have one. The first, number one, sorry to interrupt you, but we got to do that Smooge collab.
Smooge with Holmes. Holmes, that's an Ann Arbor specialty right there. Every time I try to go to Holmes, they are so busy because for some reason when I'm like, oh, I should go to Holmes, it's a can release day, and those are shit shows over at Holmes.
I don't even go to Ann Arbor.
Not a bad shit show, but just like if you're going there to just drink, bad idea. 100% Brandon Sabo over at Ascension. And Zachary Topinski, the owner of Urban Rest. These two guys, Urban Rest does open fermentation for a lot of their beers, if not all of their beers. Amazing beer that they do over there. Both of them don't do Ascension does a full menu, but like when I'm talking about when I want to go to a brewery, I want the full experience to where I want to go there and sit there for a few hours. I want to eat, I want to drink, I want to relax. Like I don't want to go there to just drink beer because then I feel like, well, I want to go to other breweries to drink beer. So that's my theory on best brewery or brewery to suggest for when you're coming out to the state.
The Michigan experience that I loved when I was there, I have some family there, is the drinking BAM beer out of cans. That's the best. That's so incredible to me. That's
Like
amazing.
like the Jolly Pumpkin Bam
The
beer.
Jolly Pumpkin Bam beer. Oh,
Ron
I love
Ron
that beer.
Jeffries is someone who I love, and I will make sure I continue to hammer to try to get on this show. Um, Ron Jeffries is so well known without the industry and loved within the industry. Um, to the point where I remember like people have told me, "Hey, talk about someone's experience with Ron Jeffries." And I don't know if you ever got a chance to meet him, Andrew, or Phil, for that matter. But Andrew would probably
I
have
met him.
passed him. Oh, you met him. There you go. So smart. In that whole Jolly Pumpkin world in life. Um, if you're coming to Detroit, though, we do have what we call the Brewery Triangle in Detroit, which there are 3 breweries within like 20 feet of each other. um, one of them is a dairy company that also brews beer. One's like that's the original brew pub in the state. You have the brewery right across the street from it, and then Jolly Pumpkin right down the road. So Detroit, 100% a great place to check out for those of you who are listening that aren't necessarily from Michigan, who are just checking out because it says Modern Times on the thing. Um, Andrew, Phillip, I thank you so much for joining us. Um, it has been a pleasure. I hope you guys have had as much fun as we have. That's going to do it. Better on Draft 241. Modern Times, you can find them in 8 different locations all over the West Coast, including Portland, Oakland, Los Angeles, Anaheim. Where else am I?
Hawaii.
Santa Barbara.
You guys are in
Santa
Hawaii?
Barbara. Oakland. We don't have a tasting room, but we sell beer there. Arizona. New York occasionally. Texas.
Check out their beer. They got coffee, which you can buy online, delivered anywhere, so you don't have to follow the Michigan laws that say you can't serve beer here in Michigan. That's going to do a 251. No matter what you think of your beer, we think it's better on draft. Have a good night.
I could have got that.
Oh,
Okay.
were we supposed to answer that?